Brigitte Macron committed something of a faux pas today when she tried to hold hands with a rather reluctant Queen Camilla. The mishap occurred when the Queen and Mrs. Macron, both dressed in white, laid wreaths at the British Normandy Memorial at Vire-sur-Mer. After placing their flowers, they stepped back to take a moment of reflection, and the First Lady reached out to the Queen, but Camilla seemed somewhat reluctant to proffer her gloved hand. After appearing to give the royal's hand a slight squeeze, Mrs. Macron dropped it and the two stood side by side in front of the memorial. While her gesture was no doubt well meant, getting tactile with members of the royal family is always a thorny issue. According to the royal family's website, there are no obligatory codes of behavior when meeting the Queen or a member of the royal family, but there's an unwritten rule that you shouldn't go beyond a handshake. After appearing to give the royal's hand a slight squeeze, Mrs. Macron dropped it and the two stood side by side in front of the memorial. While her gesture was no doubt well meant, getting tactile with members of the royal family is always a thorny issue. According to the royal family's website, there are no obligatory codes of behavior when meeting the Queen or a member of the royal family, but there's an unwritten rule that you shouldn't go beyond a handshake. The royals were already sitting waiting on Thursday morning when France's head of state finally arrived at the 80th anniversary event at the British Normandy Memorial at Vire-sur-Mer. King Charles and Queen Camilla did not comment on the behavior of Mr. Macron, who was accompanied by his wife, Brigitte Macron. But French media noticed what happened, and it was widely reported. CNews, the TV news outlet, wrote, "While the King and Queen of England were already installed, Emmanuel Macron and his wife arrived 20 minutes late for the Franco-British ceremony, which shocked the English." On Tuesday, Mr. Macron was almost an hour late when he turned up at the first D-Day commemoration in Plumelec, Brittany. There was no immediate comment from the Élysée Palace about the president's tardiness of Brigitte's attempt to hold the Queen's hand. The First Lady followed in the footsteps of Hollywood star Tom Cruise, who offered his hand to Kate Middleton to assist her up a small set of steps at the Top Gun Maverick premiere in May 2022. He followed the example of fellow Americans who have raised eyebrows by being touchy-feely, including Michelle Obama, who famously put an arm around the late Queen, and LeBron James, who did the same with Kate. Among the most famous tactile moments took place during a meeting between the Queen and then First Lady Michelle Obama at Buckingham Palace. The Obamas visited Her Majesty in April 2009, when she placed an arm around the monarch, who reciprocated, and put an arm around the First Lady. Although the incident raised eyebrows at the time, reflecting on the interaction 10 years later, during a 2019 London promotional event for her memoir, Michelle Obama said it was a natural human reaction. What is true among world leaders is that there are people who handle protocol, and usually the people they're representing don't want all that protocol.